The posse has resupplied in the town of Seraphim and they've decided to head east to the rail town of Fringe. Both Will and Dakota are awestruck by the devastation that occurred in the town of Seraphim following their failed mission at Mount Laterra, and they have vowed to not let it happen again. Will and Dakota are hoping to acquire some information regarding the whereabouts of the Scafford Gang, and to continue in their investigation of the strange phenomena that is occurring across Brimstone County.
Good evening, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight, I'll be continuing my playthrough of Shadows of Brimstone, my campaign playthrough. This is episode 8. Before we begin our actual play, I was going to give an update to the character status and give a quick summation of what equipment they currently have. We'll begin with Will McMaster. He has $10 in cash, 185 XP, 1 grit. He has 6 rations. His side bag contains bandages, dynamite, exotic herbs. He has a peacekeeper pistol in his hand, sheriff's badge, and personal journal. And his upgrade is Frontier Justice. Dakota has $145 in cash, 300 XP, a grit, and he's carrying 1 corruption token. His side bag includes whiskey and his throwing hatchet that he just recently purchased. In his hands he has a carbine, and he'll be carrying the old lantern, and his Indian hatchet is in reserve, and his upgrade is Savage Attack. We're just about ready to begin. Before we do that, I did purchase a new edition for Shadows of Brimstone. It's the Deluxe Depth Track edition that comes with the Deluxe Depth Track and 15 cards. Various darkness cards, growing dread cards, gear cards, etc. So I'll be adding those to the various decks, and I'll paint up that depth track, and that will hopefully be available for our next video. Okay, we're ready to begin. The posse is currently in the rail town of Seraphim, and I've decided that I'm going to travel to the rail town of Fringe. It's a 1 travel cycle distant, and we'll be able to utilize a well-traveled trail, which is the safest that's available. So we'll move our posse location marker halfway between the two, and then we'll resolve our overland travel towards Fringe. We're at the overland travel board. We've already selected our travel path, and I'm going to select Dakota as my guide today, and Will travel behind him. Incidentally, on the selecting a guide, basically what that amounts to is the guide is going to be, he's forward of the group slightly, so he is going to bear the majority of any type of roles that might be required. If there is a skill roll that needs to be done and there is an option as to who can do it, the guide will be the one taking that skill roll. If the travel hazard has all party members having to take the skill roll, then obviously all will. But if there is an option, the guide will be the one to do it. So we've selected our guide. The travel pace, we're going to proceed at normal. That will be no trouble there. We're going to consume supplies. At normal, we consume two supplies. I'll take those from Will McMaster. That brings his total from 6 down to 4. And our next step is the overland travel roll. We'll be using the gray column, and we're able to add 1 to the result for all party members being mounted. To resolve, we will roll a d8, adding 1 to the die for the dice roll modifier, and that will tell us how many hazards the posse will have to endure. Okay, here's our roll. They rolled a 1 that's modified to a 2, so they will have to resolve 1 travel hazard. Our overland travel chart roll resulted in a natural 1. This is the first time that we've run across this in the campaign, and I'll walk you through this. If a natural 1 is rolled, check active mission completion. Roll a die, see pace table for each mission token, and remove it on a result of 1. All right, what this represents is This is a mechanic that I installed in the campaign system that will put a time limit, so to speak, on active missions on the board. The posse cannot assume that these missions will remain there forever. This represents that the missions may be completed by other posses. Obviously, our posse is not the only one that would be moving around in Brimstone County. So what we do is the overland movement table on a normal pace says that we should be using a D6 for this check. So we're going to roll a D6 for each active mission on the board. And any results of 1, the mission is completed by other people. Okay, here is our roll. We'll start with the City of the Ancients Frozen Expedition. Rolled a 3, so that one's fine. Next, we'll check the Caverns of Cinder mission, Cracks in Reality. Rolled a 2, that's all right. And finally, the Hellfire Succubi mission, Deadly Dreams. And that's a 3, that's fine. So all of those are okay. To resolve our travel hazard, we'll roll a D36 and consult the expanded travel hazard chart. I'll be using a red die for 10s, green die will be singles. So here is our roll. We rolled a 15, so we'll look that up in the book. I'll bring that travel hazard up on the screen, and 15 reads Devil's Fork. The rock formation up ahead is known in these parts as the Devil's Fork. As you stare up at it, you feel a chill run through your blood. Every hero must roll a d6 for each corruption point and mutation they have. On a roll of 1 or 2, take an additional corruption point, ignoring willpower. All right, the only character that currently has corruption is Dakota. So he will have to roll a d6, and on a roll of 1 or 2, he would gain an additional corruption point. So we'll make that roll. On a 1 or 2, he'll gain an additional corruption. He didn't. He rolled a 6, so we're in good shape. So in this case, that completes the travel hazards that were required to be resolved. We would be able to heal or use any abilities on the road. None of the characters are carrying any wounds or sanity damage, so we're in good shape. The posse will be arriving in the rail town of Fringe, and we'll set that up for you next. The posse has successfully traveled to the rail town of Fringe. Let's read what the Brimstone Atlas has to say about Fringe. I'll put that up on the screen. It reads, "The town of Fringe is a rail town near the center of the county. It is home to the area's most famous scientist and scholar, Dr. Montague Hedgebrook. As soon as the gateways to other worlds were discovered, many scientists and explorers organized expeditions to enter them and to explore what mysteries they contained. All of the initial expeditions failed to return until Dr. Hedgebrook's team came back with fantastic stories of alien worlds, bizarre creatures, and riches beyond imagination. Since his first expedition, Dr. Hedgebrook has made nearly 100 excursions through the void, and he has kept meticulous journals which detail his fantastic adventures." All right, on the screen you'll see Dr. Montague Hedgebrook's abilities chart, and his background lists it as follows. Dr. Hedgebrook arrived in the region shortly after the news of the destruction of Brimstone reached back east. He is the head of the anthropology and cryptozoology departments at Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts. And the opportunity to study this phenomena up close has proven irresistible to him. As of today, he has made almost 100 trips through the portals and has cataloged many other worlds and the strange and awe-inspiring creatures that inhabit them. All right, we'll roll up the town of Fringe and find out what it looks like. All right, our first step in constructing the town is to determine the size. We're going to roll a d20 and consult the town size table. On a roll of 1 to 10, it will be a small town, 11 to 16, a medium town, and 17 to 20 will be a large town. Here's our D20 roll. We rolled a 19. That's a large town. All right, we'll get out our town location deck. All right, as we've stated earlier, this is a rail town based on the campaign map. So it's going to have the following special rules. The fresh supplies rule. At the start of every day in town, each hero may draw a gear card that is a special deal they find offered by a street vendor. This card may be purchased by that hero for its listed value plus $100. If not purchased, discard that gear. Hustle and Bustle, draw 2 daily event cards each day while in town. And then we have our rail travel capability that I discussed in the previous video. Rather than using the rules that are written on that card, we basically allow the characters to travel to any other rail town on the campaign map in one movement at a cost of $40 per person. All right, now we're going to populate our town. We'll be drawing 8 town locations and populating them with those. So here's our tokens, and we'll give those a quick shuffle. And we'll cut that and then start populating it. Our first location is a church. Next location is a street market. And then we have a mutant quarter, a smuggler's den, a saloon, frontier outpost, Indian trading post, and finally a blacksmith. All right. All right, we'll place our daily event deck, give that a cut, and then we will draw our daily events for the visit. Now, in a rail town, you draw 2 of them. So here is our first pick, and that is Rolling Tumbleweed, Town Daily Event. Just another day on the frontier of the Wild West. Tumbleweed and wide open skies as far as the eye can see. Every hero may heal up to 2 sanity damage. If in a specialty town, roll once on the daily events chart for that type of town. All right, we're in a rail town. That is a specialty town, so we'll be utilizing the rail town daily events chart. We'll give a roll of a d6 and determine what the daily event is. Okay, here's the roll. We rolled a 2. News travels fast. A telegraph comes through the line from a neighboring town. They are under attack, and the demonic swarm is headed your way. Move the darkness marker 1 space forward on the town event track. So that will move that from 1 to 2, and that'll make the likelihood of a town event greater when we roll at the end of the turn. Our next daily event is Market Prices Up, Town Daily Event. Supplies are running short since the last demonic attack. Everyone is a little spooked, trying to gear up before the next wave hits. All prices in town today are plus $10. All right. And I did have a little confusion with this. When it says all prices in town are $10, I wasn't sure if that applied to the hotel, and I have to believe that it does. So I think in a previous video I should have been billing the heroes at a rate of $20 per day, and I did not do that, so I will be doing that in the future. The next step is the posse must determine their accommodations, and in this case I think both Will and Dakota will stay in the hotel. That will cost them $20 each. So I'll deduct that from their totals. Will is short. He's only got $10, so I'm going to take $10 from Dakota and give that to him, and then Dakota will pay his $20 for his stay. That leaves Will with $0 in cash, and Dakota has 115 remaining. I should have resolved that Fresh Supplies special rule for the Railtown. Each hero is able to draw a gear card, and they can purchase that for $100 beyond the listed price. For Will McMaster, he can purchase a bandana, and that would cost him $150. And Dakota can purchase a defender's hat. While there are more enemy models on your map tile than heroes, you may re-roll one defense roll per attack against you. That costs $400, it'd be $500 for him. So that's going to be more than he can afford at this point, but those are available nonetheless. Our next step is for the posse to select a town location to visit. And I'm going to take a look at that carefully and see what their best options are. Okay, I've thought about our options for our characters. I'm going to send Will McMaster to the Frontier Outpost, and Dakota is going to go to the saloon. We'll resolve Will McMaster's visit to the Frontier Outpost. We roll 2d6 and roll on the location event chart for the Frontier Outpost. I'll put that on the screen. And here is our 2d6 roll. He rolled an 8. The banners yet wave. Seeing the flags fly high in the wind atop the outpost walls, your spirits are raised that you may take some respite in this place. Recover 1 grit and fully heal your health and sanity. All right, well, he can recover a grit that will bring him to his maximum grit of 2. So that was a at least useful visit. And while he's there, he is going to check for bounties. Those are free. I'll put that on the screen. We're going to roll a d6 to find out what the current bounty is at the outpost. So we'll roll a d6 and find out what the bounty is. The roll is a 5. That's Night Terrors, $150 to every hero for each killed. All right. I printed this out from BGG, and this is basically a small wanted posters that someone had created as a reminder for which bounty is available. So I'm going to keep that near the player's cards as a reminder that is currently active. All right, Will McMaster doesn't have any funds available, so he will end his stay at the Frontier Outpost, and we'll resolve Dakota's visit to the saloon. I'll bring up the saloon location event chart, and we'll make our 2d6 roll and find out what happens to him there. He rolled a 3. It reads, "You a-cheatin' us." Accused of cheating at poker, an angry mob starts to form with you in their sights. Make a cunning 6+ test to defuse the situation, or an agility 4+ test to escape, leaving the saloon. If failed, the mob roughs you up and throws you out the door. Roll on the injury chart to see how bad it is. All right, not what Dakota was hoping for. Dakota has an agility of 3 right now, and he has a cunning of 2. So in this case, I really don't want Dakota to be gaining an injury if I can help it. So I think he's going to use his agility and see if he can leave. That's a 4+ test. So he'll be rolling 3 dice, 3d6, and he'll be looking for a 4+. Hopefully he can pass this. And he does. So we've got 2 6s and a 5. No problem there. So Dakota has escaped the saloon. So he's going to go back to his hotel. And Will McMaster has completed his journey to the Frontier Outpost. All right, So that completes their visit to the town locations. Our next step during the town stay is to draw a rumor token, and we'll see if the posse is able to find any information about possible missions that are available around the area. Okay, we'll close our eyes and draw. And we've got an epic quest. Epic quest. Okay, we're going to look that up and I'll read you through that procedure. All right, epic quests, those are only 4% of the rumor token counter mix, so they're very rare. The posse has stumbled upon an epic mission that involves special circumstances. See epic quests. All right, in my campaign rule set, epic quests are defined as follows. Epic quests are a way to spice up the type of missions that the posse may undertake. It is a way to bring user-created materials into the campaign in a limited but potentially memorable fashion. These missions are intended to form a major part of the campaign's narrative, and they may combine several missions, both official, user-created, or both, into a large, sweeping narrative. When an Epic Quest rumor token is drawn, roll on the Epic Quest table and follow the prerequisite instructions on the Epic Quest sheet. An example of an Epic Quest table is provided below. This is the Epic Quest table. I'll bring that up onto the screen. And we're going to make a D12 roll to find out which Epic Quest has become available to us. All right, here is our D12 roll, and this will determine which Epic Quest we have discovered. Okay, the roll is a 2, and that is listed as The Legend of the Thunderbird. All right, I'll get that out and we'll read through that. All right, we've rolled up the Epic Quest, The Legend of the Thunderbird. I'll put that up on the screen, and the flavor text reads as follows. Described as a supernatural being, the enormous bird was a symbol of power and strength that protected humans from evil spirits. It was called the Thunderbird because the flapping of its powerful wings sounded like thunder and lightning which shoot out of its eyes. The Thunderbirds brought rain and storms which could be good or bad. Good when the rain was needed, or bad when the rain came with destructive strong winds, floods, and fires caused by lightning. The bird was said to be so large that several legends tell of it picking up a buffalo with its talons. They live in the clouds and nest in the tallest mountains. Many legends reference the anger of the Thunderbirds as something fearsome to behold. In one story, an entire village was turned to stone for their wrongdoings. Today, a group of townsfolk have returned with the remains of a huge flying beast they killed up in the mountains. A local Indian shaman has announced that these men have killed the daughter of the Thunderbird, and that this act will bring the wrath of the Thunderbird down upon everyone in the region. The only way to prevent the coming wrath is for someone to travel up into the sacred mountain and appease the Thunderbird by placing an ancient Indian relic in its nest. The skies over Wood's End have turned black as coal, and the citizens fear the wrath of the Thunderbird is upon them. The locals have put out a call for someone to reach the pinnacle of Terek's Peak and appease the creature before it consumes the town. All right, I'll quickly go over this. We're quite a ways from Wood's End, but the prerequisite is first. Place the Epic Quest token at Wood's End. Then travel to Wood's End and meet with the townsfolk and the Indian shaman. Then journey to Terek's Peak and carry the relic to the Thunderbird's nest. Setup would the mission would use a standard setup, and all heroes start on the mine entrance tile. Mission goal is explore the mine high atop Terek's Peak and locate the nest of the Thunderbird and place the relic to appease the creature. Special rules include a matter of stealth. Whenever the heroes find a clue icon, a hero must make a Spirit 6+ test. Choose any hero in the posse to make the roll. If the test is passed, you have managed to evade the Thunderbird for the time being. Roll another d6. On a result of 4 to 6, you have found the nest and have completed the mission. Discovered. If the Spirit 6+ test is failed, the heroes have been discovered by the Thunderbird itself, and a battle for survival begins. See objectives. The other special rule is no gates. No gates can be found in this mission. Anytime a gate would be placed, instead place a normal door. Servants of the Thunderbird. Anytime a threat card is to be drawn, consult the table below to determine what enemies will be faced. And that is a D6 roll, which would be including either infant Thunderbirds, which are Hellbats, Void Spiders, or drone Thunderbirds, which are Stranglers. And here's our objectives. Locate the nest. Per the special rule, a matter of stealth, find a clue icon and pass the required rolls to locate the nest and place the relic. The mission is concluded. Battle for survival. If the heroes are discovered, they must fight a brutal version of the Harbinger to complete the mission. For this fight, ignore any attacks or encounters listed on that exploration token. If the heroes manage to defeat the brutal Harbinger, the mission is concluded. And their reward if they're successful, the heroes triumphantly return to town, having saved it from the wrath of the Thunderbird. If the heroes won by locating the nest, the heroes gain 100 XP and D6 times $100 as a reward from the grateful townsfolk. If the heroes won by killing the Harbinger, the heroes still gain the reward above, but the local Indian population is enraged, and they place a curse on all the members of the posse. Each hero gains D6 corruption hits, which may be prevented by a willpower roll. And finally, failure. If the mission is failed, the town of Woods End is completely destroyed by the Thunderbird, and the heroes permanently lose D3 sanity from the tormenting encounter. Alright, so I'm going to be placing that epic quest token on the campaign map at Woods End. That epic quest is available at any time that the heroes choose to travel there to undertake it. There can only be one epic quest active at a time. So until the heroes complete that, any further draws of epic quest tokens will be redrawn. Okay, the next step in our town stay is to determine if there's going to be a town event today. We're going to roll a d6 and compare that with the number of days since last event, which in this case now it's at 2 because of that daily event we had. So we're going to roll a die. 2 or less, there will be a daily event. Roll to 1, there will be a daily event. I'll get that chart out and we'll make the required rolls. I'll bring up the town event chart. This will be a 2d6 roll and we'll find out what event has transpired. Here's our roll. We rolled a 5. That is the fever. A terrible plague spreads through the camp, causing void boils and death. Each hero must make a Spirit 6+ test to avoid the sickness. If successful, gain 10 XP. If failed, take D6 plus 3 wounds, ignoring defense. All right, we will start out with Dakota will make his Spirit 6+ test. Dakota has a Spirit of 3, and his locket adds 1 + 1 spirit, so he'll be rolling 4 dice, and he'll be needing to get a 6+, I believe it was. And that was a Spirit 6+ test, so here's the roll. He needs at least 1 6. He can use grit. He failed that. 1, 2, 2, and a 5. I guess to prevent the number of wounds that he'd be taking, I'm going to spend that grit that Dakota has, and he'll re-roll that. See if he can avoid the wound damage from the fever. Here's the roll. And he failed that again, a 1, 2, 2, and a 5. All right, that means Dakota is going to take D6 plus 3 wounds. All right, we'll figure out how many wounds he'll get. Here's the D6 plus 3 for Dakota. He rolled a 5, that's modified to an 8. He'll take 8 wounds. That is severe. All right, now Will McMaster will make his Spirit 6+ test, and he'll see if he can pass that. He has 2 grit. His Spirit is 3, and he gains +1 spirit from his personal journal. So that will give him a total of, his Spirit is 1, and his personal journal adds +1 to spirit. So he'll be able to roll 2 dice, and here is his roll. He did roll a 6, so he passed that test, and he'll take no wound damage. Since we had a town event, we're going to reset that to days since last town event to 1. And now the last step is the posse must decide if they're going to stay in Fringe for another day or move on. Seeing as Dakota has taken 8 wounds out of his 10 health, they're going to stay another day in Fringe and hope to heal him up a bit and see if they can purchase any other type of equipment that might be helpful before they move on. We'll begin the new stay in Fringe. The existing offers that the posse had are going to be placed in the discard pile, and 2 new gear items will come up under the fresh supplies special rule for the Railtown. And we'll draw those right now. Will McMaster has, okay, right there, cigar. Once per adventure, prevent all damage done to you from a single source. That'll be 175 plus 100, 275 for Will McMaster. And for Dakota, he has rawhide chaps. Gear, clothing, pants, +1 health, +1 move. Frontier heroes only. 250, that'd be a 350 purchase for Dakota. All right. Dakota does not have a frontier keyword, so he wouldn't be able to purchase those. All right, next is our town daily event. Since we have a hustle and bustle special rule, we'll be drawing 2 daily event cards. Here's the first one. Fire in the camp. Town daily event. Fire. Fire! The campsite is burning. If you act quickly, you may be able to help put it out. All heroes may make a strength 6+ test. For each 6 rolled, draw a loot card. For each 1 or 2 rolled on this test, take 2 wounds, ignoring defense, as you are burned by the flames. If no hero passes the test, the campsite is burned down, destroyed, and may not be used for the rest of the town stay. All right. Dakota is too badly injured to want to participate in that, but Will McMaster could. He has a strength of 3, and he has 2 grit tokens. So I think he'll try that test. His strength is 3, and he needs to roll a 6 or better to draw a loot card. If we roll a 1 or a 2 during the test, we'll take 2 wounds, ignoring defense, as we're burned by the flames. So we'll make his roll a strength 6+ test. He has 3, strength is 3. So here's his test roll. He did get 1 success, a 6. So that will entitle him, and he did not draw or roll a 1 or a 2. So he'll not be wounded during this, but he will be able to draw a loot card. So let's grab the loot deck and give that a shuffle and see what Will McMaster has found. All right. And he ends up getting, this should come in handy. 20 XP, draw a gear card or an artifact card if in another world. All right. So he's going to get to draw a gear card. We'll see what Will McMaster has found. And he gets tonic. Gear, tonic, tokens. Gain 1 tonic token, discard this card. All right, we'll do that. All right, let's find out what a tonic token does. Tonic token, we can discard that to recover 1 grit. Well, that could be handy. Now that's Will McMaster's 4th item in his side bag. He has a limit of 5 tokens he'll carry, so he can carry 1 more at this point. And also, by him getting a success, they ended up saving the camp from being burned to the ground. So that was actually a good thing that he did. We'll draw our second daily event. Let's see what that is. Okay, killer on the loose. Town daily event. Every few days, another murder victim is found. I'm going to bring this up on the screen. It'll be easier for you to read, and I'll read that off camera. At the end of each day in town, roll 3 dice. If any doubles are rolled, the killer has struck again. Every hero in town takes 2 horror hits that do 2 sanity damage each, and the darkness marker is moved 1 space forward on the town event track. If triples are rolled, the killer attacks one of the heroes instead. One random hero in town takes 2d6 wounds, ignoring defense. If KO'd by this, the hero is killed. At the start of each day in town, any hero may hunt for the killer. Make a cunning 6+ test. For each 6+ rolled, gain 10 XP and place a wound marker on this card. If there are ever 5 or more wounds here, the killer is caught. Discard this card, and every hero that placed 1 or more wounds here gains 40 XP. Roll 1 extra die for the killer at the end of each day in town for every wound marker currently here. Well, that's an interesting daily event. All right. I would have to decide if the heroes are planning on pursuing that killer. I believe I'm going to pass on doing that. I'm hoping that the posse will be riding on after today's stay in town. So I won't be taking advantage of that, but very interesting event card nonetheless. The heroes will select their lodging for the day. I believe both of them are going to stay at the hotel for $10 each. And Dakota will have to pay the tab on that one as Will is tapped out. So we were going to take $20 away from Dakota to pay for the hotel. That leaves Dakota with $95. Our next step is the heroes get to visit one of the town locations. I think Dakota is going to remain in the hotel, and he will be able to heal D3 wounds or sanity damage by remaining in place and not making a town visit. Will McMaster is going to visit, I believe, the saloon. I'll have him go to the saloon. Maybe there's a chance he might be able to pick up some cash there by an event. First step is I'll resolve Dakota at the hotel. Since he's resting, he will be able to heal D3 wounds or sanity damage. We'll make a D3 roll, and Dakota's able to heal 1 wound. That will bring him from 8 wounds down to 7 wounds out of his 10 health. And Will McMaster is at the saloon, and he is going to roll 2d6 and consult the saloon event chart. All right, I've got that out. He'll make his 2d6 roll and see what event happens at the saloon. He rolled a 7. A 7 is a good time. A round of drinks makes you forget about the dark world outside these walls. Pay $10 and recover 1 grit for use in town. Well, unfortunately, Will McMaster is broke. He has no money. So, there's nothing that is available in the saloon that is free. So, that will end his stay at the saloon. Now the heroes can make their draw on the rumor cup, and we'll see what information becomes available to them. Okay, here's their draw. Okay, they have the blasted wastes across the desert dunes. All right, we're going to go to the campaign map and see where that adventure became available. We're at the campaign map, and we're going to make a D20 roll and consult the mission location table to find out where the Blasted Wastes adventure has become available. So I'm going to get a D20 and roll the die. All right, here's our D20 roll. It was a 4. That's the ruins of Brimstone. That's actually fairly close by. So that Blasted Wastes adventure becomes available at the ruins of Brimstone. Very interesting. I'm going to bring the Across the Desert Dunes mission up on the screen so you can have a look at that. And we're going to switch back to the town display and finish our town stay in Fringe. Now the posse has to roll for a town event. They'll be rolling a D6, and we have 1 day since the last event, so only on a roll of 1 will there be a town event today. We'll make our D6 roll. Roll to 3, so there's no town event. And lastly, we have to decide if the posse is going to remain in Fringe or if they're going to move on. I'm going to study this and see if I can come up with a plan for the posse. All right, I've looked at all the possibilities for the posse. I came up with 2 possible ways to move forward. The first one would be to use the rail travel option. Since they're in a rail town, in the campaign rules, you're able to travel to any other rail town on the campaign map at a cost of $40 for each person. So one of my thoughts was to take the rail, travel from Fringe down to Wood's End, and then that would allow us to undertake the epic quest that we just discovered this turn. That's option 1. The second option would be to travel east through Flames Folly. Potentially we would be able to resupply there and then move on to the Blasted Wastes adventure across the desert dunes in the ruins of Brimstone. Those are the 2 options that I think would be best suited for the posse at this point. All right, after a bit of soul searching, I came to the decision that the posse is going to leave the town of Fringe, and I believe we're going to head east to Flames Folly. Potentially, I can resupply there and then be able to move on and possibly undertake the mission across the desert dunes. I think that for the situation that the posse has currently, that would probably be their best choice. We would be able to afford the rail travel to Wood's End. The only problem is I'm a little fearful of that epic quest and the condition they're in. They really don't have the proper supplies yet that I would have liked them to have at this point. And I think the Blasted Waste mission, they'll have a better chance on completing that. So when we return in our next episode, the posse is going to be using overland movement, traveling east towards Flames Folly. They should have enough supplies, barring any major disasters, to reach Flames Folly and potentially resupply there and move on to the ruins of Brimstone and undertake the Blasted Wastes adventure across the desert dunes. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you during the next episode. Thanks and have a good night. Bye. I was just about to shut down filming for today when I found out that my trusty Amazon delivery person delivered my expansion Depth Deluxe track. So I figured I would do a quick unboxing to show people what is included in this. All right. I'm curious to see what everything looks like. All right. We've got plastic on there. Okay. All right. So we've got our depth track, and looks quite interesting. I'm going to paint that up over the weekend. A collection of cards. I'm not going to look at these. I want to be surprised. I'm just going to see what types of cards they are. We're not going to examine what they are. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 darkness cards. 1, 2, 3, 4 growing dread cards. 1, 2, 3 mine encounter cards. And 4 gear cards. All right, we're going to add those to our various stacks. And then there's also an instruction sheet. Documents the new cards. And, oh good, they give us a painting guide as well. I'm going to try to follow that as best as I can. All right, well, once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.